There's a truth most people run from because it's too uncomfortable, too sharp, and far too honest. But today, we're going to say it out loud. No one is your friend. Not in the way you've been told. Not in the way you believe. Because friendship isn't loyalty anymore, it's convenience. The moment your presence no longer benefits them, people vanish. We live in a world where betrayal hides behind fake smiles, where the word bro is just noise, and where I've got your back only means, until I don't. Wake up. This isn't cynicism. It's survival. If you keep believing everyone who claps for you is on your side, you'll get stabbed by the very hands you were holding. Harsh? Maybe. True? Absolutely. And once you accept it, you stop expecting and start protecting. People always say, I got you. But when the storm hits, suddenly it's radio silence. You look around and the room is empty. The phone doesn't ring. The support you once gave out so freely, nowhere to be found in return. Isn't it wild how people vanish when you need them the most? The same ones who said they loved you, who laughed with you, who stood beside you when the spotlight was shining, gone. That's when you realize those weren't friends. They were spectators. And the moment the game wasn't entertaining for them anymore, they left. But here's the plot twist. Your greatest strength is realizing you can walk this road alone and still win. One of the worst betrayals you'll experience is not from enemies. It's from people you called family. The ones you defended, sacrificed for, gave your time and heart to. They'll flip on you for attention, for gain, or simply because they never really cared. And what hurts most isn't that they left. It's how easily they could. No hesitation, no remorse, just silence. Like you never mattered. That's when the reality hits you like a slap. Loyalty has an expiration date when it's based on comfort and not commitment. People switch up quick. And if you don't learn to expect it, it'll break you every time. You keep asking why they changed, but maybe they never did. Maybe they were always that way, and it just took time for the mask to fall off. That's not your failure. That's just exposure. The truth reveals itself when pressure is applied. When you stop being the one who gives, who uplifts, who carries, watch how fast the energy shifts. That's when the lies fade and clarity arrives, and you should thank it. Because now you know who's real. Now you know who was just acting. And once you know that, you'll never allow yourself to be played by a performance again. People won't clap for you if they secretly want to be you. Understand that. They'll downplay your wins, question your growth, mock your ambition. Because deep down, your light triggers their insecurities. And instead of supporting you, they compete with you silently. They want your life but don't want to see you live. That's why you've got to be very careful who you celebrate with. Not everyone smiling is happy for you. Some are just measuring how far ahead you are. And that fake energy, it's louder than silence. You just have to learn how to hear it. There's a lie we've been told since childhood, that everyone deserves your trust until they lose it. Wrong. Trust isn't default, it's earned. You don't hand out your soul like a party favor. You protect it. You study people. You watch how they move when no one's looking. How they talk about others. How they act when there's nothing to gain. Because those are the clues. That's where the truth lives. Not in their words, but in their patterns. And once you start seeing people for their patterns, not their promises, you stop getting disappointed so much. You become wiser, sharper, safer. Sometimes the most freeing thing you can say is, I don't trust anyone. Not because you're bitter, but because you've learned. You've been burned. And now you move smarter. That's growth, not paranoia. When people say you've changed, what they really mean is, you stopped letting me use you. And yes, you have changed. You've evolved from being someone who needed people to someone who chooses people. That's power. That's peace. That's maturity. And no one can take that from you. Not anymore. You're not cold. You're clear. There's a difference. Cold people shut the world out of fear. Clear people filter the world out with wisdom. You don't hate anyone. You just no longer allow everyone access. And that's not wrong. That's necessary. Because when everyone has access, you lose control. You lose direction. You lose self. So now you guard your energy like treasure. You protect your peace like a fortress. Not because you're fragile, but because you're finally aware of how powerful you are when you're not being drained. You'll meet people who only check in when they need something. Who only ask how you are to slide in a favor. And if you don't respond the way they want, it's suddenly you're selfish, distant, rude. But the truth is, they're just mad the old version of you isn't picking up the phone anymore. The version that never said no. The version that broke their back to keep others comfortable. That version is gone. And in its place, a person who finally puts themselves first. A person who's not afraid to disappoint fake people. Because losing them isn't a loss at all. Stop thinking loyalty means forever. Loyalty means consistent support when it's difficult to give. Most people are only loyal when it's convenient. They'll stay while it's easy. While the mood is light, but when the darkness comes, when life gets heavy, watch them run. That's why your circle shrinks as you grow. Because truth filters out the fake, integrity filters out the shallow, and time reveals everything. So let time do its work. Let it show you who's for real and who's just there for the ride. And when it does, believe it. Don't argue with reality. You owe no one an explanation for choosing yourself, for going quiet, for cutting off those who drained you. Growth is lonely, but it's honest. Peace is quiet, but it's priceless. And your life? It's not a group project, it's yours. So if walking alone gets you further than waiting for friends to show up, walk alone, smile, stay grounded. And remember this, the fewer people you trust, the less you bleed. That's not darkness, that's discipline. And it might just save your life. You ever realize how silence speaks louder than words? You post something meaningful, achieve something great, or go through something painful. And suddenly, the people you thought would be the first to reach out say nothing. They scroll past. No message, no support. And yet when you were clapping for them, cheering for their smallest wins, you were always there. That contrast, it hits you deep. That's when the truth screams in your face. These people weren't your friends. They were placeholders. Background noise. And now that you're elevating or struggling, they're not interested. There's an illusion that being surrounded means you're supported. It doesn't. You can be in a crowded room and feel utterly alone. Because real support isn't presence. It's participation. It's showing up without being asked. It's listening without judgment. It's celebrating without envy and grieving without distance. Most people aren't capable of that. They want proximity, not responsibility. They want access, not accountability. And when you stop giving them the free ride, they ghost you. And weirdly, that's your freedom ticket. What if I told you that no one is truly obligated to care about you? Would that shake you? Good. Because once you accept that brutal truth, you stop expecting. You stop giving so much of your soul to people who didn't even earn your smile. You take back your energy from people who only love the idea of you. You reclaim your time, your heart, your peace. And it's not bitterness, it's self-preservation. You're not angry. You're awake. You finally realize that real love, real loyalty, real friendship is rare. And that's okay, because you'd rather be alone than surrounded by liars. People don't always leave you because of something you did wrong. Sometimes they leave because the version of you they could manipulate is gone. You started setting boundaries. You stopped over-explaining. You pulled back. You started healing. And they didn't like that. They didn't want the healed version. They wanted the broken one who'd bend for their comfort. That's why they're gone. Not because you're too much, but because you're finally not too little. And that scares people who benefited from your silence, your softness, your self-betrayal. You ever notice how they remember you only when they need something? How they pop back in with, "Hey, stranger," like nothing ever happened? That's not nostalgia, that's convenience. They're not checking in. They're checking availability. And the old you would have replied instantly, just happy to be seen. But not this time. This time you don't answer. This time you protect your energy like sacred ground. Because you finally realized you are not an option. You are not a backup plan. You are not a vending machine for attention. You are a whole worthy being. Period. Your peace is expensive. Stop giving it away for free. Every time you let a fake friend back in, you delay your healing. Every time you entertain small talk from someone who ghosted you, you reopen a wound. Healing means recognizing patterns and cutting them at the root. It means realizing that closure isn't a conversation. It's a decision. You don't need to hear sorry to move on. You need to say enough and mean it. That's when you regain control. That's when you become unshakable. Because peace isn't passive, it's protected. You've got to learn how to be alone without being lonely, how to sit with yourself and be okay. Because most people run to others not out of love, but out of escape. They fear silence. They fear stillness, but silence reveals truth and stillness shows strength. When you master solitude, you master self. You stop chasing validation. You stop begging for attention. You stand tall even when no one claps. That's when you know you've become someone dangerous, someone independent, someone unbreakable. And that's the kind of person no fake friend can manipulate. You don't need a crowd to be confident. You need conviction. You need clarity. You need courage. That's it. People will always have opinions. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip. None of it touches your truth. None of it pays your bills. None of it changes who you are. Once you stop reacting to every whisper, every slight, every passive-aggressive jab, you become untouchable. Because power isn't in clapping back, it's in walking away, with grace, with strength, with your peace fully intact. Don't confuse nostalgia with loyalty. Just because you've known someone for years doesn't mean they're still good for you. Time doesn't equal trust. Years don't equal alignment. People outgrow each other, paths diverge. Some people were only meant to be a lesson, not a lifetime. And that's not failure, that's freedom. Let them go without guilt. Wish them well and move on. Because the next chapter of your life requires clarity, not company. It requires purpose, not pity. And most of all, it requires you to stop carrying dead weight. Here's your truth. You don't need anyone who doesn't need you the same. You don't need forced conversations, shallow support, or people who only show up when it's easy. You need depth. You need connection. You need authenticity. So raise your standards, speak less, watch more, and remember, the real ones don't make you guess. The real ones show up every time, without being asked. And until you find those people, walk alone, walk proud, walk loud, because there is strength in solitude and power in peace. Some people were beautiful lessons, others were painful wake-up calls, but none of them are worth sacrificing your peace for. Don't stay loyal to a history that's hurting your destiny. You deserve people who match your effort, match your energy, match your frequency. Anything less, let it go. Healing from fake friendships means confronting the ways you allowed them. It's a hard pill to swallow, but growth starts with accountability. You taught them how to treat you by what you tolerated, but you didn't know better. Now you do. Now you reclaim your worth. Now you recognize red flags as warnings, not challenges. Now you understand that friendship isn't about length of time, it's about depth of trust. And moving forward, you only allow what aligns. No more proving, no more pleasing, just peace. And here's the golden truth. When you lose fake people, you gain your real self. The version of you that's not filtered through fear, approval, or manipulation. The version of you that walks with confidence, speaks with clarity, and rests in peace. That version doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't settle. That version is powerful, magnetic, unstoppable, and it's always been in you. You just had to remove the noise to hear it. So be proud of your solitude. Be proud of your strength. Be proud because no one is your friend until you're your own. You ever notice how people disappear when you're down, when your money's low, your mind's messy, your spirit broken? They vanish. But the moment you glow again, they reappear like moths to a flame. Ask yourself, were they really your friends or just fans of your light? People love you when you're useful. They love the way your success makes them feel. But the moment you don't feed their ego, their needs, or their insecurities, suddenly you're acting different. You're too much. That's the game. You think you're building friendships. They're building opportunities. And the faster you learn that, the less damage their absence will cause. Here's the psychological trap. We are hardwired to crave connection. It's in our DNA. But what no one tells you is that in today's world, connection is currency. People invest in you like stocks. They stick around when you're rising and sell the moment you dip. Loyalty doesn't exist without leverage. You can cry around them, open up, bleed emotionally, and still it means nothing once your value expires in their eyes. So how do you deal with that? You learn to stand alone, not bitter, just better. You become the type of person who doesn't flinch when no one claps, who doesn't fold when no one texts. Why? Because your peace isn't outsourced anymore, it's yours. You think they care about you because they laugh at your jokes, like your photos? Show up when it's fun, please. Loyalty isn't measured by presence during pleasure. It's measured by presence during pain. Test it, share your lowest point. See who sticks. Better yet, win without them and see who claps genuinely. You'll see more fake smiles in success than real hands in struggle. That's the truth. People will act like they love you until they no longer need to pretend. And most of them were pretending from day one, not because they hate you, but because they never saw you. They saw what they could gain from you. Let that sink in. Look around. How many people would still check on you if you lost everything? Would they answer your call if you had no title, no followers, no influence? If your answer is I don't know, then you already know. You don't need many friends. You need clarity. Stop mistaking company for companionship. Loneliness with the right mindset is strength. You can't be manipulated if you don't crave their attention. You can't be betrayed if you expect nothing. That's not sadness, that's power. When you stop depending on others to validate your worth, you become unstoppable. They may leave, but they can't shake you. Here's the logical orientation. People behave in self-interest, always. Even kindness has motives. That doesn't mean everyone's evil. It just means everyone's busy being the main character in their own story. You're just a chapter, maybe a paragraph, maybe not even a full sentence. And once your part is done, they turn the page. Brutal, yes, but freeing. Because when you understand the rules of the game, you stop playing like a fool. You start investing in yourself, not people. You stop chasing friendships and start attracting real alignment. That's not arrogance, it's awareness. Ever hear someone say, "I would never do that to you"? Be careful. The people who scream loyalty the loudest often mean it the least. True loyalty doesn't need announcements. It shows up in silence when no one's watching, when it costs them something. Most people don't want to sacrifice. They want to benefit. And when that benefit disappears, so does the bond. It's not personal, it's behavioral. So stop assigning moral value to disloyalty. Don't cry over their absence. Thank them for revealing their role. Every person who leaves makes room for strength. You just have to stop chasing ghosts. This world rewards self-preservation, not self-sacrifice. They'll call you selfish for choosing peace over people. But weren't they selfish for only showing up when it benefited them? It's wild. You stop being convenient and suddenly you're acting brand new. No, you're just done being used. You're done auditioning for roles in other people's lives. You're done confusing attachment with affection. If your energy isn't being matched, protect it. If your presence is being taken for granted, disappear. That's not petty, it's preservation. And it's long overdue. Psychologically, we are terrified of abandonment. So we tolerate disrespect in the name of friendship. But true growth begins when you fear silence less than fake support. Real friends won't drain you. Real friends won't disappear at your lowest. And real friends, you'll count them on one hand if that. The rest are just passing character. Temporary faces. Learn to differentiate. Learn to detach. Learn to observe without reacting. Once you see people for who they are, not who you wish they were, you stop bleeding for those who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. They say success shows you who's real. But honestly, failure does it better. Go broke. Go through hell. Watch who still checks in. The truth is, most people only show up to eat at your table, not help you build it. And if you think that's depressing, think again. It's the most powerful realization you can have. Because when you no longer expect loyalty, you become your own protector. When you stop begging for support, you build your own ladder. And when you stop calling everyone friend, you finally see the snakes in your garden. When you finally realize no one is your friend in the way you thought they were, something inside you shifts forever. You begin to observe differently, speak less, and move smarter. You become intentional with your silence, selective with your energy. You're no longer surprised when people switch up because you've accepted the truth. Loyalty is rare and words mean nothing without consistency. That clarity, it hurts, but it heals. It teaches you not to hate people, but to trust patterns, and patterns never lie. People love access, not accountability. They want you to be available, supportive, giving. But the moment you ask for honesty or effort, they disappear. You see it when you stop overextending yourself. Suddenly, you're acting different. But the truth is, you were just overfunctioning in relationships that never deserved your time in the first place. Stop calling it friendship if you're always the one giving. That's not love, that's labor. And love shouldn't exhaust you. It should empower you. You were taught to be kind to everyone, to keep the peace, to be the bigger person. But no one taught you how to protect your peace from emotional leeches. No one showed you that being nice at your own expense is just self-betrayal in disguise. So now, you're unlearning. You're setting standards. You're realizing that kindness without boundaries leads to burnout. Let them call you cold. Let them